Welcome to More to Wonder, and we are in the midst of Holy Week. This is Monday, March 30th edition of the Holy Week series at More to Wonder. I have an expository blog for you at my website, and here on YouTube, I've got this video for you, which I will condense a little bit of what I've discussed already. I also have a podcast at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Player FM, and you can join me there and follow me there and subscribe and get a lot more resources, some extra resources for you to help you in your study and your devotion. Today, we want to look at the motif of light, this idea of light in the Bible. It's a recurring motif, and it commands attention and calls for a response of faith. And this is what we'll see in our study of John's Gospel. So let me just begin by looking at the text itself. And we're in chapter 12 of John's Gospel. Chapter 11 is the pivot point. It is the culmination of all the miracles and the signs and wonders that prove that Jesus is the Christ, the divine Son of God, the second person of the Trinity. And this leads to chapter 12. And in chapter 12, in the next 5 chapters that follow, Jesus prepares his disciples for his departure, his death. And as he instills in them certain ideals, certain principles, certain concepts regarding the light, the life, faith, walking in obedience, walking with him, and living the full life and following him as he taught them over the 3 years that he spent with them, Jesus gives attention to this idea of light, and he is been approached by some people who question him about some things that he said. And I just want to focus on his response because it features this idea of light, and it is found in John 12, verse 34 and following. So this is the crowd's response. The crowd then answered him, "We have heard out of the law that the Christ is to remain forever. And how can you say the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man?" So Jesus said to them, "For a little while longer the light is among you. Walk while you have the light, so that darkness will not overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he goes. While you have the light, believe in the light, so that you may become sons of light." And this is what we want to look at today. And this particular idea here relates to the notion that people must believe that Jesus is the Christ. Without faith that he is the Christ, we have nothing. But as the crowd asked him, "Who is this Son of Man?" Now, the Son of Man refers to the Messiah. This is understood from the students of the Old Testament and the prophets. The Son of Man is the Messiah. Who is this? In other words, they're asking him, "Are you the Christ?" Well, Jesus doesn't answer them. He actually diverts or redirects their attention to the principle of light. And in this, by not actually saying that he is the light at this point in time to this particular audience, he is saying that you must believe that I am the light. And not only that, I am the Son of Man. And he does this so very subtly without saying so. Now in John chapter 8, verse 12, he actually tells his disciples, "I am the light of the world." So he tells them outright, and some of those may remember, as John the Gospel writer does. But in this particular case, I want to bring us to the idea of the light. And let's just trace this motif. If we look at the creation of the world, in the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." Now, we also know from John chapter 1 something of this, and let's take a look at that. Now, John writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and apart from him nothing came into being that has come into being." Now listen to this. "In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it." Now, this word here, katalamvano in the Greek, means more than just did not understand it. It actually literally means to seize or overtake by force. And so the darkness has no chance against the light. The light casts out the darkness. And this is the mission of Christ. Now, there's something else here in this text with regard to the light. In verse 9, we read, "There was the true light, which coming into the world enlightens every man." And this is why Jesus in John 12:34 says, "Walk in the light." Walk in the light. Walk with him. Follow him. Again, in John chapter 11, verse 9, let's take a look at that. Now, in chapter 11, this is where we find Lazarus very ill, and Jesus tarries. He doesn't go right away. He wants to go back to Jerusalem or Judea, and the disciples kind of argue with him about this, and he answers in verse 9, "Are there not 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks in the day," and this is a synonym for light, "if anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of this world." Again, Jesus in chapter 8, verse 12, "I am the light of the world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him." And this is the idea that we must place our faith in Christ. And only then will we have this understanding and the illumination of the Spirit of God to help us in our faith wrestling. So Jesus basically, in so many words, says, you must obey the light. So there is this correlation between obedience and following Jesus. Now I want to say a couple more things about the light. And so I want to take a look at this theme again, or this motif of light. In 1 John 1:5, we have something about it again. "This is the message we have heard from him and announced to you, that God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all." Now in the Greek, where it says, "in him there is no darkness at all," it puts it in the most emphatic structure that eliminates any possibility of any darkness in God. In fact, this puts God as the antithesis of darkness, or darkness is the antithesis of light. If light is good, as God said in the beginning, and let there be light, and it was good, then he is good. And there's nothing dark about him at all. So let's turn back to John 12. And again, we see that Jesus says, walk while you have the light, so that darkness will not overtake you. And this is the sense that Jesus prepares his disciples for some dark days. He knows that they will struggle when he is crucified. Those will be very dark days for them. And they need to walk with him and follow him and obey him until that time. And the next few days before the Passover, Jesus will spend time with them, preparing them for the dark days. And even so, Jesus prepares us for dark days as he leads us by his light, as he shows us the way. And so that's on us, right? That's on us to follow him, to obey him, and stay in the light, because the light will cast out the darkness. The light will defeat the darkness. So let me just share a song that I wrote relative to this theme. It's called Blinded, But Now I See, and it carries this theme of the light.
About the Lord, but not enough to interest me. Then he spoke into my heart, making soft what once was hard, gave me sight so I could see. I was blinded by the night, darkness covered me, chained by my desire, in a cell without a key. Then in the dark of night, I came into the light, opened up my heart, and Jesus set me free. Oh, I was blind, but now I see God's will for me. I was blind, but now I see.
So I hope you'll come back all Holy Week and devote yourself to this study of how Jesus prepares his disciples for his departure and some dark days, because we can find some lessons in it that will help us as we walk through some dark days as we await Christ's return. Thanks for joining me again. Subscribe and follow me. Check me out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you find your podcasts. I'll be there, and I hope that you'll find a blessing in what I share. More to wonder. Retains all rights to this content and prohibits any copy or distribution without express permission.